When you're a host for an Airbnb, you've never had a guest with ADHD, there are some things you definitely need to know to make your Airbnb ADHD friendly. And I'm about to tell you how to do just that. One of the most important things that you can do is to label everything that you can. It's going to make things really easy to find so they don't have to go around looking for it. And also, really important, we have ADHD to have some sort of reminder where things are, because with ADHD, you can go and find a thing initially and say, okay, that's where that is. And then a few hours later, a few minutes later, you'll be looking for that same thing and you won't remember where it is. And now you have to go through that whole process again to try to find that thing again. So labels are actually just really awesome for anyone with ADHD. And don't just use the labels to say this is where something is. Use them as reminders as well. Did you turn the stove off? Did you turn the lights off? Did you make sure the door is locked? Anything that could be something that they need to remember, go ahead and put a reminder somewhere. And this is really important. If you're going to give instructions, give written instructions and not verbal ones, if at all possible. If you do have to give verbal instructions, one instruction at a time, and make sure they understand what the instruction is and actually do remember it. Because with ADHD, if you give us too many things at once, then the first thing you gave us is gonna just be forgotten as we're trying to remember the last thing that you gave us. So one instruction at a time if you're doing verbal instructions, but written instructions are even better because there's a reference to go back and look at to make sure that everything's done, everything that you wanted to have done during their stay or when they leave or when they arrive. Really easy to go back and look at that list. But with verbal instructions, because of the way ADHD works, you want to just make sure that you break it down into different chunks and do one instruction at a time and not multiple. And just like instructions, write directions down as well, because if you tell us 5 different things, turns and places to look for and all this kind of thing, and think it's really easy, we're not going to remember it. It can be something really simple, like just, down the street, turn left, turn right, and it's at that place. Write them down, because by the time we get ready, go out the door and start to go down and go to that place or whatever, and then try to find that place, we may have forgotten the first thing you told us about the first turn or whatever. So just write the directions down and make them really clear, and that way we won't forget them and we can get to whatever place we need to go to have a good time while we're staying there. And this next thing is super awesome but super simple at the same time. All it is notepads, paper, notebooks, and pens to write stuff down. It is so helpful for someone with ADHD that's trying to remember things and then also trying to remember something else as someone's talking to them or trying to figure out something. It's just so awesome to have somewhere to write the first bit of information down so we don't forget that as we're trying to take in new information and figure out new things as well. And now these next few things are hacks, really important hacks, but you need to understand this one key concept: out of sight, out of mind. And what this means is we can see something, know where it is, know that it's in this place, and then we look away or go away and try to come back and find that thing. Now, the thing about it is, if that thing is behind something, partially covered or whatever, we may just miss it on the way back, and we may have just forgotten it's right in that area and then go off and look for it somewhere else. So what you want to do is you want to have anything important, make sure it's in the visual field of view, easy to see, easy to find, so that way we do not miss it. Because otherwise, we may look for something, we may miss it, and then we spend a whole bunch of time trying to find it, and then we realize, oh, it was in the first place or around the first place we decided to go and look, but we just didn't see it. And it's really not about being able to see, it's about remembering where things are. And so one of the best hacks that you can do is have a bowl or even a mouse pad or some kind of pad near the door to where they would pass by or come in. And this is called a landing pad. It is a place to where you can put your keys, your cell phone, your wallet, anything important. And the reason is, these are some of the most common things people with ADHD lose. And the reason about that is because we go somewhere, we sit down, we put it down somewhere, and then we don't remember where we put it. And then we go looking around for it, wasting time. And then eventually we come back and find it, but we may have to search all the way around the place to actually come back and remember where that place was that we actually had that thing. And so it's really easy. If you have a place where it's really easy to find, really easy to see, they can put all those items at that place or in that basket, in that bowl, and they will always know where that place is. And here's something else: have similar things in one place. Pots, pans, one side, one place. If you want to have cookie sheets somewhere else, that's fine. But if they are similar, have them in one place so we do not have to go around and look for them every time, because we might forget where we found something and then we have to go around and look through and find that place again, or we might forget where that thing is. If we need it again, we used it the first time, we put it away, and now have to go back and find it again, and we may not remember where that place is, even if we put it away not so long ago. So it just makes it super easy. If you have, hey, pots, pans over in this area, it makes it super easy for us to look in that area and then find the pots and pans. And if you have a label that you can put on the door or something like that to remind us, that is super awesome as well too. And here's something else really great to have in your Airbnb: are baskets and bins around that have stuff in them. And that makes it easy to see, which is great. Easy to go ahead and access whatever is in there or put something back. But it's just so helpful because you can have them in different places and different things that the guests might want or need. Maybe extra towels or washcloths or whatever, or maybe snacks or whatever. Maybe you have a basket for like remote controls. Something like that just makes it so easy to see the basket and then go in, look in it, and then find what you actually need to look for. Again, label it. That makes it even easier. But it's just great and really simple, really easy. And something else really helpful are different visual cues. Really creative ones are actually super helpful. For example, I went to an Airbnb, and on the fan strings or whatever, they had one that had a little thing for a fan, like a little ornament for a fan, and then another one, little ornament for a light. Made it really easy to see which string was for which thing. And so it's just very helpful for your guests and very helpful for you as well too. And now these next things are important to remember about ADHD and will really help you understand. 1, less noisy generally is better, because sometimes people with ADHD really sensitive to loud sounds, loud noises. And so that means if you have a party Airbnb, then you probably do not want to have a ADHD guest there, or at least tell them in advance so they know what they are actually coming into, because if they get there, it's really noisy and just all sorts of noise going on, then it's just going to make them really uncomfortable for their whole stay while they are there. And here's something else: don't get offended if they kind of zone out while you're talking to them, because it just means something else in that immediate area caught their attention, and they may just be sitting there. They might even be looking at you in the eye. You're talking to them, and then you go and say, okay, wait for a response, and they have just zoned out basically on something else. And they'll come back and you'll be asking them something. They'll be like, oh, wait, what did you say? And you'll have to go through and re-explain the whole thing to them. And don't be upset about that, because sometimes that happens with ADHD. And it's because we deal with really an interest-based system. So we're always looking for, and this is important too, with ADHD, you're operating at a dopamine deficit, which means we're always looking for something to give us dopamine. So that means we're always looking for something exciting and interesting. And if something is more exciting than what you're saying right now, or just catches our interest, then we're going to go and look at that. And so when we come back, finally, after we're through with what that interesting thing is, then we probably have missed like half or even all of the conversation or some key information we need to know. And so just don't be upset about having to repeat things, because we're just trying to understand and make sure we have a full understanding of what you're asking or what you're trying to tell us. And patience and understanding is very key, because you may think this person's not trying, this person is just, all over the place and they don't understand, they're not paying attention. And that might be what you see on the outside, but that doesn't mean that person is not really trying. They are really trying to understand what you're talking about. They're really trying to figure out everything. They're really trying to remember all the things you want them to remember and do while they're there. So just be patient, just be understanding. If you have to re-explain something, that's really okay. Go ahead and re-explain it again, or even help them do that thing that you're trying to get them to do, whatever it is. Just make it so that it's not an environment where you're just not happy because you're perceiving it in one way, and they're not happy because you're perceiving it in that way and telling them that as well. So just be patient, just be understanding. And something that's really awesome to have there is to have a book with different activities to do or different restaurants that are good around the area. I just found that so helpful because I can go through it and look and say, oh, I was thinking about doing this activity or that activity, and go through and find something instead of having to go through and search just all over the internet, all in a book or something, to find these different activities or different places that we may or may not like. But if you recommend them and you know that they're really good, then that's going to be even better for us to have a really good experience. Now, this is not the only video that I have about making things ADHD friendly. If you have a home and someone is going to visit your home, I have a whole series of videos on that. And the first one I think you should start off with is the one about making your home ADHD friendly. And it should pop up on the screen right now, and you can go ahead and click it and watch that video.